what I want to know is, so here you are in the, how old were you when you came to the United States?
I was 16.
So you were 16, you were like coming close to becoming an adult. So obviously you grew up in a totally different culture. And by the way, you've gone through the whole Iron Curtain days where the Cold War and the Cold War ends and the Ukraine independence. And then of course the problems. And then now you are in the US. So what was that like? Share with us as a 16-year-old young man. What was that like?
Yeah, it was very interesting. So back in my hometown, in Europe, most of cities they have everything that you need, a lot of civilization, a lot of old buildings and history everywhere. I had a lot of friends. And so here I am at 16 years old, moved to Texas. And my stepdad lived in a small town, and there's about 3,000 people. We actually lived outside of the city limit, in a field. He had a farmhouse, and we had a neighbor a mile away in any direction. So you can just walk out, shoot a gun, yell, nobody will hear you. That was a huge change for me. That was in an era before Facebook. Even MySpace wasn't a thing back then. And so I basically instantly lost tens of friends. And, I could only either write them actual physical mail, which I didn't have time, or call, which was very expensive. I think it was like, I don't remember, $1 a minute or something, but I had no job. I had no way to buy those minutes. So yeah, I lost all of my friends. I moved during the summer, so school was just out. So I didn't have a chance to even go to school and meet new people. So I met some guys through a local church, and that basically kickstarted my journey in US.
So how was it? Because obviously you are an entrepreneur, you're running a business, and also you're running a business that requires a lot of creativity. So when was it that you realized first time you had tendencies in those areas?
Yeah, so actually, even back in Ukraine, back in Ukraine, I had a 35 millimeter film camera. It wasn't even like a SLR camera. It was regular point and shoot. And then after you shoot out your 36 shots, you go turn it in, and somebody develops and prints the photos. And my friends and myself, we were just walking around the city, trying to imitate the cool shots that we've seen, maybe on album covers that the bands of the 90s had. We would try to dress up and kind of pose. And I found some interest in that. And then when I moved to the US, one of the guys at the school said, hey, so we have Friday night football games, and we need somebody to basically run a camera for a small local TV station. And so I started doing that. I started running the camera, and basically started getting into it. I made enough money, and I went and bought like a $400 Panasonic DV tape camera. And then my friends at school and we started just shooting fun videos. I started, playing around, putting music soundtracks, fun songs, and just experiment. So by the time I was senior in high school, I knew that I wanted to go to University of Texas for film program. And that's what I did.
So what about the entrepreneurial aspect of it? Because building a business, making money and things like that, when did that show up in your radars?
Yeah, so I had a very interesting journey, and I'll be vulnerable. I'm okay with that. I'll be honest. So after I graduated from UT Arlington with film degree, I moved to Austin, and I took a different route. So I went to grad school, and but because I moved to a different city, I lost basically my friends and all the film connections I built in the Dallas area. So I had to start from scratch here. And it was very challenging to sort of like maintain a good lifestyle. And I was freelancing for a year or two here. But then I got married, and I understood that just being a freelancer, going from gig to gig isn't going to cut it for having a family life and being able to support, a young family. So for a while, I left for corporate America, and I thought, well, all of my skills are in art. How about getting some skills in business? And so I worked for AT&T for 5 years, and I had very good business and sales training there. I was in the management. And then when I heard, actually from one of my coworkers, I heard about this Amazon opportunity. He described it like, yeah, my buddy just places an order in China and the stuff just gets shipped directly to Amazon. He never touches the product and he just makes money. So that caught my attention, and that was my first sort of like interest into, wow, I could build a business of my own. I can do something here. And so that's it was like 2015 or 2016. This is when I started researching, exploring, watched countless hours of YouTube videos, and my wife was very supportive of that. So we started that as a side hustle at first. Then we were mainly reselling somebody else's products, or other brands' products. That was a portion of arbitrage. Then we moved into private label. Then we started private labeling things, and eventually had a small brand in the baby category. So after some point, I realized that no, although it does make money, I don't see myself as constantly talking to suppliers. Obviously, with Amazon, there's tons of Amazon seller issues. You have to constantly talk to seller support and things like that. And this is when I saw an opportunity. I was like, well, I can connect my artistic skill set. I can connect my business skill set. And this is what I can do. Something I enjoy even when times are tough. And this is where I'm at today.
Yeah, I mean, as they say, follow your passions, and you can never be unsuccessful, so to speak.